Airlines made billions of dollars last year just from seat selection fees. They want you to think the only way to be comfortable is to pull out your credit card. They are lying to you. There is a hidden window of time, exactly 24 hours before takeoff, where the seating map changes completely. If you know where to look, you can get a first-class feel for an economy price. Here is how the system actually works. The Great Seat Map Illusion. Most travelers make a huge mistake the moment they buy their ticket. You look at the screen and you see a sea of gray seats. It looks like the flight is totally full, or the only seats left are the expensive ones with extra legroom. You panic. You think, I better pay $50 now or I'll be stuck in the middle seat near the bathroom. That is exactly what the airline wants you to feel. It is fear. But here's the truth. That seat map is a lie. Airlines block off up to 40% of the seats on the plane when tickets first go on sale. They mark them as unavailable or occupied, but nobody is sitting there. These are often the best seats in the economy cabin. They're the aisle seats near the front or the window seats with a bit more space. The computer system holds these back for elite flyers or handicap accessibility needs. So when you pay for a seat months in advance, you're paying for something that might be free later. You're essentially paying a fear tax. But how do you get those blocked seats without paying? You have to wait for a specific signal from the airline's computer. If you miss this signal by even 10 minutes, you lose the chance. The 24-hour magic window. Here's exactly when you need to act. For most major airlines in the U.S., check-in opens exactly 24 hours before the flight. This is the moment the first wave of secret seats gets released. You might think, I always check in right away, but simply checking in isn't the trick. The trick is understanding movement. At the 24-hour mark, the frequent flyers, the people with gold or platinum status, are getting automatically upgraded to first class or comfort plus. When they get moved up, their old seats are left empty. Remember, these frequent flyers usually pick the best seats in the main cabin. They pick the aisle seats in row 10 or the window seats in the exit row. Suddenly, a seat that was occupied 5 minutes ago becomes available for free. If you log in at 24 hours and see your seat assignment, look at the map again. Do not just accept what they gave you. You can often switch to one of these newly abandoned prime seats without paying a dime. It requires you to be fast. You need to be on the app or the website the second the clock hits the 24-hour mark. But here's the catch. Sometimes the upgrades don't clear at exactly 24 hours. Sometimes the airline holds them back until you are actually standing at the airport. If you print your boarding pass at home and think you're done, you're making a critical error that forces you to stay in a bad seat. The human element. Once you get to the airport, the rules change again. About 1 hour before the flight takes off, the airline app usually stops letting you change your seat. The computer system locks you out. It hands all the power over to one person, the gate agent. This is where being polite pays off big time. While everyone else is sitting at the gate staring at their phones, walk up to the counter, smile, and ask a very specific question. Do not ask, "Can I have an upgrade?" That sounds expensive, and the answer is usually no. Instead, ask this. Hi, I noticed the flight looks full. Did any aisle or window seats open up near the front? Here is why this works. In that last hour, passengers miss their connections. People get sick and don't show up. The gate agent can see empty seats that the app cannot show you anymore. Since the plane is about to leave, they don't care about charging fees. They just want to get everyone on board quickly. They can move you from row 35 to row 8 with 2 clicks of a mouse, and they'll often do it for free just because you asked nicely. But be careful, there's a trap here. You might see a row that looks totally empty on the map and ask to move there. You think you will get the whole row to yourself to sleep. But moving to this specific section of the plane is often a terrible mistake that can ruin your entire trip. The empty row trap. You check the map and see the very last 3 rows are completely empty. It looks like a dream. You imagine laying across 3 seats and taking a nap. So you rush to switch your seat to the back of the plane. Do not do it. This is the classic rookie mistake. The back of the plane is the worst place to be for 2 big reasons. First, it's the bumpiest part of the ride. If there is turbulence, the tail of the plane shakes much harder than the front or the middle over the wings. If you get motion sickness, the back rows will make you feel terrible. Second, you're right next to the bathrooms. You'll have a constant line of people standing next to your shoulder, bumping into you, and the noise of the flush will wake you up every few minutes. There's another trap seat that looks like a luxury, the bulkhead. This is the very first row of a section, usually facing a wall. It looks like you have endless legroom because nobody's reclining in front of you, but there's a hidden downside. In these seats, the tray table is inside the armrest. This makes the seat nearly 2 inches wider than a normal seat. If you have wide hips, it can feel very tight. Also, the armrests don't lift up. You're locked in a metal cage for the whole flight.
You need to know exactly what kind of plane you are flying on to avoid these bad seats. But how do you find that out? There is a free website that tells you the secrets of your specific airplane, but most people have never heard of it. The X-ray vision tool. You wouldn't buy a house without looking inside first, right? You shouldn't pick a seat without seeing the blueprints either. Airlines use many different versions of the same plane. You might be flying on a Boeing 737, but Delta has one layout and American has another. Even within the same airline, they change things around. There are free websites that act like X-ray vision for your flight. You just type in your airline and flight number. Suddenly, you see a map that shows you the truth. You will see seats marked in red or yellow. These are the danger zones. The map will tell you things the airline hides. For example, row 11 has no window. Imagine booking a window seat to look at the view, only to stare at a plastic wall for 4 hours. Or it might warn you, row 20 does not recline. If you pick that seat thinking you could sleep, you are out of luck. Using these maps takes 30 seconds. It can save you from a sore back and a lot of frustration. But sometimes, despite all your planning and all these tricks, disaster strikes. You get to the gate and the flight is completely sold out. Every single seat is taken. You look at your boarding pass and it says Seat 22B, the middle seat. Is your trip ruined? Not yet. There is a psychological trick you can use on your neighbors to reclaim your space, but you have to do it the moment you sit down. The law of the middle seat. If you end up in the middle seat, do not shrink away. You have rights that even the flight attendants know about, but they rarely say out loud. There is a law of the land for airplanes. The person in the aisle seat gets the freedom to get up whenever they want and extra legroom in the aisle. The person in the window seat gets the view and a wall to lean against for sleeping. The person in the middle gets nothing. They are squished. Because of this, the middle seat passenger owns both armrests. The trick is to claim them immediately. The moment you sit down, put your elbows down. Do not wait. If you wait until after takeoff, the person next to you will have already spread out, and it will be awkward to nudge them back. If the person in the aisle tries to take your armrest, you can politely say, "Since I'm stuck in the middle, do you mind if I use these?" Most people know the rule and will apologize. It makes your flight 50% more bearable because your shoulders aren't curled in. But sometimes, a full flight offers an opportunity that is much better than a good seat. Sometimes the airline makes a mistake that can put hundreds of dollars in your pocket. You just need to know the magic number to ask for. The jackpot. Here is the ultimate secret. Airlines are legally allowed to sell more tickets than they have seats. They bet that some people won't show up. But when everyone shows up, they have a problem. They need volunteers to give up their seats. This is not an inconvenience. This is an opportunity. The gate agent will start by offering a $300 voucher. Do not move. Keep your hand down. They're looking for the low-hanging fruit. When nobody volunteers, the price goes up. It goes to $500, then $800. If you are flexible and don't mind taking a later flight, wait until the offer hits the limit. In the United States, if they bump you against your will, they might owe you up to 400% of your one-way fare in cash, not just a voucher. So if you volunteer, you have leverage. Walk up and say, "I will take the later flight, but I want the compensation in cash, not a voucher that expires in a year." Often they will cut you a check right there at the desk. You could pay for your entire vacation just by waiting 3 hours for the next plane. Now you have the power. You know how to find the hidden seats, how to dodge the middle seat trap, and how to get paid when they overbook. You have beaten the airline at their own game. But before you relax, check your boarding pass one last time. There's a specific 4-letter code that security prints on tickets of suspicious travelers. If you see this code, you're not going to the lounge. You're going to a private room for interrogation.